Good morning. Prime Minister Trudeau, who is presently doing his imitation of Joe Clark on his world trip, is credited with having said on one occasion that he came into Confederation to save Quebec and that somebody else would have to save the West. Well, here's what might happen to the West if a man and his organization in the studio this morning have their way. They could split the country. Elmer Knutson is his name. Rancher, businessman, farmer, and as far as I can see from here, he'll argue with me, a separatist. To make Elmer Knutson of the West Federation feel at home, I put on my fleur-de-lis Quebec tie this morning, sent to me as a gesture by Premier Levesque of Quebec. Now, does that make you happy, Mr. Knutson?
No, well, it looks pretty nice on that suit, you know. I mean, you got blue all over the place. I guess that's blue sky.
Are you planning a separatist tie for West Federation?
We're not separatists.
Now, come on now, Mr. Knutson. West Federation has got a logo which shows the 4 western provinces apart. Yeah. Now, if you're not separatist, what are you?
We're trying to form a Western Federation. Now, that's not separation. That's Western Federation. It has been no federation in Canada, so therefore we're going to start the process.
Now, just give me that again. A Western Federation. 4 provinces.
Yes.
Run from where?
Well, run from the west, where it should be.
Not run from Ottawa?
No, well, that's the problem. Ottawa is trying to become a unitary state in this country, and they're trying to revert the provinces back to colonies, and they're driving us to the position where we have to try to protect ourselves, and by protecting ourselves, we have to begin federating so at least we can speak as one voice out west here.
I don't want to be unkind to you, and I'm really trying to be an honest reporter. You want the 4 western provinces and the 2 territories to confederate.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean?
Well, to confederate, you've heard about the co-ops. In order to be to confederate anything, you have to be separate, sovereign, independent communities or provinces or colonies or whatever you call it.
I've got that now.
And you have to then have an agreement amongst yourselves to agree to forming a federal government, and you give up some of your authority to that federal state or government in order to run the international affairs or whatever.
I've got it. You want to dismantle the present federal state, which you think is going unitary, and set up a new collection of states, one group of which will be the 4 western provinces, who might speak to Ottawa on the odd occasion.
Well, I don't like the way you put it, because it's not true what
you said. Put it your way. Put it your way. Because, you see, I'm quite honest about it.
Yeah.
I regard you. Matter of fact, aren't you in total sympathy with Christie, for the Western Canada concept, the guy who got all the thousands of people out on the prairies? Mm-hmm. Are you in sympathy with Christie? Well,
I have the same problems, or we can enunciate the same problems, same wishes of the West, but he wants to form a unitary state, and of course that's the same thing as Trudeau wants to form. And we're not in, we don't address ourselves to that, because we say the provinces and provincial governments and the regional differences out here are normal, and they are the title holders to the property, and therefore we want to work through the title holders of the country, which are the provinces, really.
Now, look, I don't want to misrepresent you in any way, shape, or form. Let me do this again. West Federation is your brainchild.
Not mine alone. I wrote the letter in the first place, and a lot of people came. I got 3,800 letters in 6 weeks, and it's been then a committee from then on, and we have formed it together as a...
All right.
So I'm the founder, but...
So you've got West Federation, the 4 western provinces,
right,
separate, equal, and sovereign.
Yes.
Forget the territories for the moment. Would form a confederation.
Right.
How would they break the political and administrative tax chains with Ottawa? How would they do that?
Well, that would be up to a constituent assembly once it's decided. You see, this is a country without a constitution, so the first thing you have to do if you form a federation is to get a constitution. Now, Canada don't have a constitution, never did have, and now Trudeau, and that's the problem, is trying to establish a dusty old British North America Act that was designed and written by the Colonial Department in Great Britain as our Constitution. And the Constitution, as you know, Jack, belongs to the people. It's instructions by the people to the government on how it shall operate.
So therefore you say that the British Parliament has no right whatsoever, even if it's asked by Trudeau, to send this old piece of paper back because it doesn't matter.
That's right.
In other words, all the British link is of no concern.
No, at the Statute of Westminster, they raised all of the provinces to equal status with Canada, with Great Britain, and dissolved the government, which was the Governor-General.
Question, is it Trudeau you hate or the Liberal Party? Which one do you hate the most and why?
Well, I have absolutely no use for Trudeau, never did have. And he,
why?
Well, for the simple reason that I have read all his books. I knew of him when he was writing in the Cité Libre. I knew when he was writing in the Liège Rassemblement. I know that he has called himself a citizen of the world. I know that he has Marxist overtones, and his policy is for social democracy. I've known all these for a long time, and he's systematically doing exactly what he said he was going to do. This guy hasn't lied to the Canadian people. But the Canadian people have never believed him, apparently, because it's well documented of all of his escapades.
Okay, describe him politically from your point of view. Put a label on Trudeau from your point of view.
He's a left-wing, so far at the left that even the NDP don't want him, or didn't want him.
He's left of the NDP.
Right.
You wouldn't say he was a communist.
Well, I don't know if he's ever been a communist, but I'd say he has Marxist leanings, that's for sure.
And you don't trust him?
I don't trust him for 5 seconds.
Well, how has he been able to con all the big money boys on Bay Street and the conservative elements of the Liberal Party? How has he been able to hold this incredible drag and come back from the political dead after Clark committed suicide and take the reins of government again?
Oh, well, as far as I'm concerned, it was all planned. He never did intend to resign. I mean, that was just a ploy. And they got this budget thing going, and he come back. I think we give the credit of this to McEachran and a few of those guys there, but he masterminded it. Trudeau.
Machiavellian.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
None.
Next, I want you to convince me to become, well, I don't know what you want me to become. A separatist.
No. The thing is that we are being forced by Ottawa to make some hard decisions. We do not want to be a colony of Ottawa any longer.
Or of Britain.
Or of Britain.
Elmer Knutson, West Federation, after the break. Elmer Knutson, I tend to shout at people, as you know.
Yeah, well, I might shout back, you know.
Well, no, feel free to shout back. Equal time is yours for the taking. But, I'm one of the new Canadians. I came here 35 years ago.
I know, and you haven't even learned how to speak Western Canadian English yet.
I get by.
See.
Anyway, I mean, to me, the prospect or the thought of becoming even your type of quasi-separatist is unthinkable. So I want you to convert me. Tell me why I, Jack Webster, who may have a little influence in public opinion, should join WestFed. I mean, I want specifics.
Well, I tell you, Jack, it's just exactly this way. And it's a little different out in B.C. because you had your natural resources ever since 1871. In the prairies, we didn't have it. In prairies, in Alberta, Manitoba, and even though Manitoba joined a long time before Alberta and Saskatchewan, we didn't get our natural resource rights until 1930. And until then, we were very, very poor. We had no revenue because Ottawa was taking all our revenue for our land and natural resources. And Saskatchewan went into the Depression years with about a $94 billion debt. So there's been dissatisfaction for many years in the prairies.
Not in the young generation. I mean, we've had an affluent post-war all through the West, roughly speaking, have we not? Yeah. Certainly in the past 20 years.
Yes, but...
and when Leduc was brought in, was it not the federal government who subsidized it and helped it all the way before Alberta's fields were developed?
No.
No?
They wouldn't give us any money at all. We had to go to New York and Texas and all the other places in order to get money to drill the oil and find it. God hid that stuff pretty good. Barrett said that, that we got the oil there because God put it there, and that's right. But he hid it a damn good, too, and it took a lot of Alberta know-how in order to find it down there, and it's going to take even more to find what's left because it's getting scarcer. But the thing is that's causing the alienation of the West. We've gone along with the flag issue. We've gone along with bilingualism. We've gone along with them time doing a lot of things. But when they start to get to the position where they say that they are going to draft a constitution and they are going to retake the control of our natural resources again, and they're going to tell us what we're going to price, and they're going to be here in BC and they're going to tell you about your forest products pretty soon. They're already trying to take your gas revenue and take that control of it. And we're heading towards a unitary state. And Jack, I tell you, in a country 4,000 miles wide, and with a little bunch of people over there in Ottawa who never were a colony, telling us what we got to do across this country, I reject it.
Would you agree with me that the reason people are against the government is largely because it's a hate Trudeau thing and not necessarily a hate Ottawa thing?
Well, he's accentuated, and you got to address the question to Trudeau, because after all, he's been the Prime Minister for 12 bloody years in this country, and he has changed the Liberal Party from a traditional Western party to now a Quebec-based party, and with some of his Ontario friends over there, and everybody, all of us, with the Conservative and ND Party and Social Credit and everything, go into every election with a 60 or 75 to 80 seat handicap. There is no bloody way that we're ever going to have any say in the decision-making process of this country.
Because of Quebec?
Because of the power base that Trudeau has established in this country.
Would you like to see Quebec out of Confederation so that there'd be an evener balance in the English-speaking parts of the country?
Well, I think that for the rest of the country, if Quebec had have separated on the 20th, the whole rest of Canada would have been better, because Trudeau wouldn't have had that base.
But what's the difference between you, therefore, and the aims and aspirations of Quebec?
Quebec has a right to do just exactly what we have. Ontario has the right to do exactly what we're doing. Nova Scotia has the right. But Nova Scotia and the maritime provinces, Atlantic provinces, have been raped so many years ago. They were wealthy provinces at one time. In central Canada, Ontario and Quebec raped them many, many years ago, so they're so poor they can't do anything about it.
To many people it looks, I mean, the separatist movement, or the quasi-separatist movement...
They're not even quasi. We're trying to establish a voice in the Canadian scene.
You want to change you want to scrap all the present arrangements.
Well, yeah, because we have no constitution, and we want a constitution designed by the people in the West.
You want a separate constitution for the 4 western provinces.
We want them to begin the federating process, write that constitution, and then if at some later date, after the Constituent Assembly has done this, and some of the rest of the provinces say, hey, we like that first Canadian ever constitution, you know, let's talk about it, then the Constituent Assembly could go ahead and do it.
When you talk about the 4 western provinces and the Western Federation, would you expect the other provinces to have the same type of freedoms from Ottawa? Ontario?
Well, they can do whatever they like, but Ontario is Ottawa just about, as far as I'm concerned.
Under your West Federation, who would look after defence?
That would be up to the federal government, which we establish. But they would have limited authority as far as I'm personally concerned.
The new federal government?
Yes.
Where would the capital be?
I don't know. That would have to be decided by the Constituent Assembly and by the people elected to decide that issue in Canada.
We're talking about the new capital, the West Federation?
Yes.
Where would that be?
I don't know. That would have to be decided, like I say, by the Constituent Assembly. See, I don't know if you understand our whole program.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because when you talk about the West Federation and a new constitution and a new capital, I mean, I'm not stupid. That's separation.
Well, separation from what?
Separation from Canada as a nation.
When did Canada become a nation?
1931, Statute of Westminster.
Who made it that way? Can a British government create a federation in Canada?
It did.
No, it didn't.
It's worked for since when? 1867?
Well, 1867, we had a Governor General who was the corporation's soul until 1931.
But you can't turn around and tell me that we don't have a constitution. We've got the BNA Act, which has been the effective constitution.
It was a British statute, yes. It was for a division of powers of the local and central government under a Governor General. The Constitution was the letters patent issued to the Governor General.
Technicalities. Do you know that in Patella's time in British Columbia, that BC threatened to secede unless Ottawa stepped in with social welfare payments?
Well, I suppose they had taxed the
in
hell
those
out of you
days
in the first place.
when it was poor, you said, they said to Ottawa, unless you give us more money, we'll secede. Now you're saying, and from oil-rich Alberta, if you take any of our money, we'll separate.
Oh, yeah, you can't say that. Boy, we're selling our oil and energy at 40%, or 40% of the going price. We're not asking for even a 75% today. We're saying that we want to work towards 75% by 1984. We're saying to them, at least pay us a reasonable price. But no, Trudeau's more interested in that north-south connection now, and he'll go down to Mexico and pay them the full price, and then, of course, they're going to get a lot of our dollars. So now he has a trade mission down there, and they're trying to find out how we get those dollars back. So they're more interested in trade north-south than the east-west connection. We kind of liked the east-west connection. We were a little unhappy with it. But when his train...
Little unhappy with it?
Yeah, well, when his train changed off and decided to go via Paris and Moscow and the third world nations and north and south and everything, when we got that western section, we kind of dropped it off at the Manitoba border, and we said, hey, just a minute now. If that's the way you're going to go rather than the real east-west situation, we're going to unhook that train. So we unhooked it, and the East just kept right on going. They never even bothered to wave goodbye.
Would you like to see Ontario really suffer because of a shortage, or the nation suffer because of a shortage, if Lougheed carries out his promise to cut oil production?
No, I think I'd like to see him make a deal with them that we will sell our oil at 20 or 30 or 40% below world prices, providing they will sell us all of their manufactured goods at the same percentage discount off of world prices.
You're not very keen on the way Ontario has acted, are you?
No, because the power is in the center, and the power is Ontario and Quebec, and I don't want the West to get raped like maritime provinces.
Would your West Federation, if you ever get to this magic day, would it have a central parliament for itself?
It have federal, because we were going to federate. You see, we have regional differences.
Federation of the 4 provinces?
Yes.
Nothing to do with Ottawa?
Well, no, not in the initial stages, at least.
Ottawa would be a separate country?
Well, they left us, yeah.
What do you mean they left us? They may have annoyed you. They may be stealing your money and Canadianizing your industry.
And writing a constitution, there's only 2 ways that a constitution can be formed, and that is either by the people or a dictator. And that little dictator sitting in Ottawa right now, he says that I have the authority to establish a constitution in here, that old dusty BNA Act, and he's going to establish it here, he's going to change it, and he's going to impose it. Now, do you want some dictator to impose a constitution on you and tell you can't smoke anymore on CBC or whatever the heck it is?
Doesn't he have a majority in a thing called the House of Commons?
That's part of the power structure. That's why until the structure has changed, we will be a colony of Ottawa longer than Canada was a colony of Great Britain.
Has democracy failed in Canada because of Trudeau's and the Liberals' power base in Quebec?
Democracy has failed because of the structure, and whether Clark was there or Broadbent or whoever, it would still be the same. So we have to change the structure in this country, or we will be that colony. And Trudeau, of course, knows all of this, and he is moving fast to that unitary state.
Do I hear a rumor that you're going to amalgamate with Christie's Western Canada concept?
Never.
Why not?
Because he wants to be a political party. And
What are you?
We are dealing with a political issue, but nation building and constitution writing comes before political parties.
Give yourself a political label. What are you?
Personally, I'm a conservative. I was a liberal at one time, but the whole political spectrum moved to the left, and I stayed where I was.
You're not, West Fed is not a political party?
Never.
Collection of industrialists and right-wingers?
No, center of the political spectrum, I would say. Conservatives are even to the right, or to the left of the center, what we used to know as the center.
Yeah. You still haven't convinced me why the man in the street should join you. I mean, specific.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, as far as I'm personally concerned...
Try and convince the callers.
Okay.
Elmer Knutson. How old are you, Elmer?
I'm too old.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'm starting in the 60s.
Yeah, so am I. So don't feel too old.
No, I'm not too... I don't feel too old. You know, that's just mind over matter or something like that, and if you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
Elmer Knutson. I'm the founder of the Western Federal Association, which claims how many members?
Well, we know we have over 20,000.
Oh, 20. I thought it was 50.
No, no, no. I never said 50.
How much of your own money have you put into it?
About 20,000.
About $20,000. How much have you got in your tin box now for the Federation?
Right at the moment, we got about $35,000, but we have about $1 million promised right at the moment.
Oh, from oil companies, of course.
No, sirree.
They're the ones who'll benefit.
No, they have. You know something? We haven't got $1 from an oil company. We have gotten $1,000 from a man who happens to be connected with the oil industry, but hasn't he got rights too? No, the basic it comes from.
Will you accept large sums of money from oil companies who are paranoid about Trudeau's Canadianization?
Well, I think that we will accept it from people in the oil industry, but not from companies.
No limit on the amount of donation?
No, no.
You want $4 million?
We're going to get $4 million.
By when?
By, maybe August.
And use it for?
Try to convince the people of Western Canada that we have to become a joint force out here to force Ottawa.
And sever the connections with Ottawa.
No. To force Ottawa to listen to the West and stop their colonization of Western Canada.
Elmer Knutson, West Fed, after the break. Your calls. I'm not going to run one of the old-fashioned polls on whether or not you're a separatist or a quasi-separatist or a West Fed supporter or a Christie supporter. I want you to make short, sharp comments without the usual endearments to either of us, or ask questions of Elmer Knutson. It is Knutson, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm the son of Knut.
Son of Knut.
You know how the Norwegian names are? They take the father's first name and add son to it. So it's Hans' son, or William's son, or John's son, or Knut's son.
Fancy that.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Well, of course, you came from Ireland, didn't you?
I'm the son of Webb. Webster. Okay, straight up to Elmer. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Knutson.
Yes.
I've got two questions.
Right.
I'll ask them. They're short and succinct. And I'll hang the phone up and listen to your answers. Number one, does West Fed have a constitution drawn up? And if not, how are we supposed to vote or go along with them unless we know what they're going to do? Number two, how are you going to rage for the Aboriginal rights and let them get their share of their natural resources?
Thank you. Two questions. Do you have a constitution?
Yes, we have a constitution, and our constitution is very simple, that we want to put pressure on the provincial governments to agree to forming a Western Federation. Number two, to get have elections and get people elected to a constituent assembly to draft a constitution. And to answer the second one, we hope the natives and all the other groups are along in and get members in that constituent assembly, and that's where the constitution of the country will be decided.
In other words, you will recognize Aboriginal rights to oil in Alberta.
We are not, we think that the Western people, when they get together in a constituent assembly, will do just that, yes.
You don't think you'll get fighting between Alberta and BC,
No.
Manitoba and Saskatchewan?
Well, that's why we say that we have 4 regions, and we want our regional governments, and we recognize them. And that's the difference between Christie and us. We just don't want to be a political party. We want no association with a political party of any kind, including his.
Nothing to do with Christie?
None.
Never?
Never.
Ever?
Ever.
For sure?
For sure.
Did he get his big crowd because of your image?
Yes, because he announced all over the Alberta that there was an amalgamation between us, and he hadn't even spoken to us, and we had utterly rejected that a long time ago.
Go ahead, please, to Elmer Knutson.
Yeah, Knutson.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions for you. Some of them already been asked by Mr. Webster.
Just ask your questions.
Is it not a fact that you are you along with some others, creating a lot of confusion and misleading the people in the country?
Okay, fair enough. Are you confusing people?
Well, I think we're making people think. I certainly hope we can confuse them long enough so that they will start to realize the situation and probably tell us where we're wrong, if we are wrong, but we want to have a Western voice.
Go ahead from Victoria.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. I would just like to say that I think Vancouver Island should separate from the country, and I say this a bit tongue-in-cheek, but we could, grab the naval base up at Comox, and then Esquimalt we could take the ships over.
Yeah, where does it end?
Why shouldn't we separate and we could run everything ourselves?
Who the heck said I was going to talk about separation? We're talking about federation.
Well, I'm talking, are we one country or aren't we? And
well, I'm saying that we have never federated in this country, and I challenge anybody to show me a federation document.
Well, what I'm saying, in effect, is...
We fought 2 wars as a nation.
Yeah, and
we fought the Second World War as a nation. We were in the Korean War as a nation. Surely that makes us a nation.
But are we a country or are we not a country? And that's what I'm saying.
Well, what I'm saying is legally have we ever federated?
In Alberta.
What are you saying is what?
Legally have we ever federated, and when did we become that country? I know that in 1967 we were marching across this country and saying this land is your land and this land is my land. But a lot of things happened after 1967, and one of them was Trudeau got on the scene, and he knew that we hadn't federated, and he is trying to take control of this country from Ottawa, and we utterly reject that. Well, and if he's going to keep on going that way, well, then we're going to do our own thing out here. We're not going his direction.
It's Trudeau that's the problem.
Well, because he controls the Liberal Party with the support of Ontario and Quebec.
Okay, well, look, the reason why that is that's where the people are. Let's face it, it's a democracy.
Yeah, but that's what's... a democracy can work without having the power all in one place. I mean, in the United States, for instance, they have the Senate that has 2 seats in Rhode Island and 2 seats in Illinois. But so that sometimes the power or the majority can be very vicious, and that's exactly what's happened in this country for 113 years.
If you talk like this in the United States, you might be faced with federal marshals.
Well, no. You've got freedom of speech in this country and in the United States, I know, and I hope that we can keep it here in this country, but the way it's going, one of these days we won't have it.
No state can separate in the United States, I'll tell you.
But they have federated.
Anyway,
they have federated.
Alberta,
Okay, good enough. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. This gentleman has made me so angry and so disgusted. Thank God he's in the minority. He has disassociated himself from Britain and from Ottawa. How does he feel about joining the United States? Because most of us would not join the United States.
Well, we think the United States are real nice people. We want to have dealings with them and everything, but we don't want to live in their house. We want to build our own.
Fair enough. She told you off, didn't she? You disgusted her.
Yes.
From Armstrong, BC.
Yes.
Speak up.
You're with me, Jack?
Yes, I'm with you. Go ahead.
You're killing me with the capital gains tax.
I don't know how he got in. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm an ex-Albertan. I lived there for 20 years, and I can certainly agree with you, Mr. Knutson.
Thank you.
And I don't know how Mr. Webster sits there as a host and doesn't even know enough about the history of Canada to know that the federal government never partook of the Leduc explorations. He has heard that so many times, and still he's very dull, and he can't learn. I was there when Mr. Manning tried. I know all about it.
Money.
But Mr. Webster is a socialist.
Did you say Mooney?
Pardon?
Did you say Bill Mooney?
No, I didn't say Bill Mooney.
I'm a socialist.
I said Mr. Webster. And I think that Mr. Webster is a socialist, and he wouldn't agree with you even if you were 200% right.
Well, are you talking to me? I don't think he's that bad. He's kind of a rough customer, but I can be rough too. So we're getting along pretty good here. And one of these days, one of these days, I'm going to convince him that he should speak for us.
Ma'am, you're just delightful. I don't think I'm a socialist. What I am is I'm agin them all. I'm agin everybody, and I sit here and I try and provoke people. Some people I can provoke easier than others.
Please learn the facts, so that when we speak about Canada history, you will know what we're talking about.
Sorry, ma'am. Can't help it. I went to a school in the old country, and the only thing I did was learn to read and write.
Well, then believe some
Thank
of the
you, my
things
dear. No, enough. I'm not going to be insulted anymore this morning. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to have your address. You have a new member.
Well, we have an address here in BC. I just don't know the address right offhand, but I tell you, if you come to the meeting tonight at 8 o'clock at the Hyatt Regency, we'll tell you the whole rest of the story as well.
How much are you charging for the meeting?
Nothing, but we're going to take up a collection because we want to raise part of that $4 million tonight.
This is where you've got the big oil man.
Well, we're going to have a man that happens to be in the oil business, but he is a Canadian just as well as I am and you and everybody else, and he has a right to use some of his money to support his own cause, I would think.
Carl Nickel.
Carl Nickel. And he's
How big is your hall tonight?
Well, it's about 2,000 people, but I think we're going to have to probably turn away a few.
Have you papered the house? I mean, Clancy, your PR man's an old expert at papering houses.
Oh,
Are you
is he?
bringing in buses?
Well, I don't know. He's done a pretty good job, you know, for us, but we have trouble teaching him some of the things because, you know, he was a former social creditor.
Yeah.
Yeah, trouble with that.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Mr. Wesley, good morning.
Morning.
I just asked Mr. Knutson there, in the event that he was successful, and by the way, I'm for him and what he says, I agree with him. He'd have a new member here too, but in the event that he came through with it, how would that affect the old age pensions and the Canada pension as we now have them?
This is known as the Quebec syndrome.
I just love that question because a whole bunch of people in this country, you know, we have bank accounts and savings accounts and all that kind of jazz, you know. We think that that's our money, and a lot of the old people think that there's a great big stack of money sitting in Ottawa someplace, and when they get to be 65 years of age, they're going to start to draw from that fund. Well, I have a surprise for you. There is no money in any fund in Ottawa. They have a promise to pay you some money when you get to a certain age, or if you have a handicap or whatever, but it comes out of direct taxation that day that it's paid to you. It doesn't come from an already saved account.
What would be different with your West Fed central financing?
Well, of course, I am from Alberta, and I know that situation a little bit better, but Alberta has contributed over $30 billion in the last 4 or 5 years to equalization payments or whatever. And I tell you, if we had that 30, we'd be able to double, triple, and everything else the old age pensioners. So I'm sure that we'll be able to take care of them without any problem in the West here.
Now, what's your address?
Well, I tell you, it's...
No, I want to give you an address. It's quite obvious that I'm not in total sympathy with you.
Well, I'm going to work on you, though.
Well, you're not,
and I'll get the address.
See, you've got to give me concrete reasons why I should be a separatist. You would tell me...
Yeah, but you see,
all you would tell me is
that
my taxes would go down, my earnings would go up. There's nothing except money involved in your philosophy.
Oh, no, wait now. The main thing, the last 3 straws to break the camel's back was the energy package, the Constitution, and this last budget with $105 billion worth of debt and a government overspending like nobody's business, already spending 47 cents of every dollar of GNP, and we're going farther and farther into debt. We're going to be bankrupt, and so our cost to the ordinary Joe, the cost of living will drop 45%, and the dollar will go up about 50%.
That'll be bad for the lumber business.
No, it won't, because at least the dollar that they do get will buy a lot more stuff than that 75-cent dollar.
More calls to Elmer Knutson after the break. I'm surprised you didn't cry the blues about all the oil rigs fleeing Alberta.
Well, of course, that's one of the problems. You know, there's about 43 oil rigs that have gone in the last little while, and of course about 40,000 jobs that have been lost. And we are fast approaching an energy crisis in the world, and Canada was trying to go for self-sufficiency by 1990. And with the policies that we're going now, we're going to be all walking behind horses like I did when I was a young fellow.
Because of Trudeau's left-wing socialism nationalization.
Well, yeah, he calls it Canadianization, but I call it socialization or nationalization, and it's an excuse to make this a unitary state.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Look, I'm a Canadian. I was born in Alberta, spent much of my life in BC and a few years in back east. And I'd like to say just 2 things about this whole silly business. One, why should we charge ourselves for our own resources at a back-breaking price? I see no point in that. Point number 2, we've been a nation. We've acted as a nation. We've accepted ourselves as a nation. We have a national anthem. We've got people who are veterans who have lost their lives for this country. We've made laws and we've paid taxes. If we act as a nation by custom, we are a nation if nothing else. So no silly comments saying that we are not a country can make it anything else. So it's a point. It's really a business of saying, Mr. Knutson saying, everybody's crazy but me.
Well, no, I think you got to recognize that a country has to have a constitution. And a constitution, everybody is saying that the BNA Act is that constitution, except the people. And
Britain doesn't have a constitution, so that Great Britain is not a country.
well,
Soviet Union has a constitution.
Yeah, I know, but
Britain doesn't have a
oh,
constitution.
it has a constitution. I think the Magna Carta was a pretty good basis of a constitution.
No, that was a
We have
right-wing
documents
document
too,
written
which
by
we
a
have
bunch of
accepted.
farmers and barons.
It's the basis of democracy for the West.
We've had the right to make
Okay,
our
ma'am,
own
you've
laws
made a
now.
good point. She really has. And you can't answer that point. We are now a nation. We may be in trouble,
Okay.
but we're still a nation.
Okay, all right. I'll say then, Jack, all right, we were a nation, and we are, if you want to say it now, but we're gradually being broken up by Trudeau, and we're going to become a unitary state with a one-party government, and we have been that for 38 of the last 44 years. And we are losing our rights every day, and I refuse to let him change this country.
If you had a good right-wing Tory government in Ottawa, top-heavy with MPs from the West,
No.
and 75% of the Chicago price, you wouldn't be forming a West Fed.
Yes, it's deeper than that. It's constitution and freedoms and rights as well that are being taken away from us by the East.
Go ahead from Vernon, 5525. Go ahead from Vernon. Where are you?
Hello.
Yes, that's you. Speak up.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, got the wrong one. It's Revelstoken, too. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Knutson.
Yes.
I'd like to know, let you know that I agree with you 100%, and hope you have an office set up here in the interior somewhere. And I'm also a federal servant. I'd like to join your party, but hopefully under your federation you will liberate the federal servants and let us run politically again. Thank you.
Yeah, well, the office...
Never mind, I've promised to put up for a short, sharp glimpse your address in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
You'll just confuse people if you give it now.
Okay.
Much obliged. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, please.
Can I have your address?
I'll put it up on the screen, unfortunately, but I will do. Hold on. Hey, just go away and watch the screen. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes.
Good morning. I'm behind you 99%. I have one question and one piece of advice. You're doing a lot of harm by talking this federating talk. Leave that to lawyer. Just it can't call us a separatist movement. Call us an independent movement. Okay. My question is, will you give the people a referendum on immigration and the monarchy? Thank you.
What was the questions?
He said, first of all, call yourself independent.
Yeah, well, that's what we're working for. It's everybody else that says we're separatists. We want an independent federation out here.
Will you give the people a referendum on the monarchy?
Yeah, well, yes, we would be, and our referendum and our polls say that the people want to have some association with Great Britain and retain the monarchical system, and I agree 100% with that.
You're a monarchist?
Yes.
God save the Queen?
Yes.
But not God save Ottawa?
No, we have said that that maybe the second in line for the throne should be the prince of our nation out here.
Who's the prince of our nation?
Well, we should suggest that the second in line for the throne, they have the Prince of Wales, the first in line for the throne. Maybe the second in line should be the Prince of Western Canada.
Are you serious?
Well, I don't see what's wrong with it. I mean, that's some of our members have suggested.
Prince Andrew?
Yeah.
He be the titular head of the new state of Westfed.
Of Western Federation.
Of the new state of Westfed.
Yes.
So you are a separatist?
No, I'm not.
You can fool me. Go ahead, please.
I'm having trouble with you. I don't know what in the world I'm going to do, but...
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, two questions. When this West Fed comes to be independent and BC and Saskatchewan and Manitoba re-elect the NDP, would you want to be ruled by socialists?
That's a good question, but I don't think that we're going to change the nature of our people. They're still going to. We're drifting towards an absolute socialist state now. Maybe if we get a constitution that we want, and I don't see really that much difference between Blakely. I don't think he's a very. I would be afraid of this Barrett, but I think that most of the people in the West would want basically the same type of a constitution, and the drift to socialism will happen, and it's happening right now by Trudeau. Trudeau is taking us that direction fast.
I must congratulate the caller on an excellent question.
Yes, it was a good
When
question.
the houses of Westfed vote NDP, will you still want Westfed? Thank you, ma'am.
One more.
Yeah. Hope it's as good.
If only Alberta becomes independent, how would you handle using the air, road, and sea lanes for foreign power?
Well, I don't think that Alberta would be by itself. I'm pretty sure that Alberta and BC are, because we've got an awful lot of members in both provinces, and I think Saskatchewan and Manitoba.
And if it did, it would be the socialist government.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, you got to stick around, Elmer. That was a good question.
Yeah, I know. I like
And
some
next
of those
time you
questions.
see Lougheed, tell him we're still mad at him stealing PWA and moving out here to there. After the break. Elmer seems a nice enough fellow. You know, just I can't pin him down on precisely what Westfed is. I'm willing to believe you, you know, if I know precisely what you want.
Well, I tell you, it takes some thinking, and it's hard to understand, really. But really what is forcing Westfed to take place is that we are changing Canada, or Trudeau is, and he's taking away our freedoms that we established in this country. He is changing the government from a government of Parliament by a government of three wise men from Quebec and a coal miner from Cape Breton. And we're getting to a dictatorial state, and I will not accept that, and I'm going to try to prevent it happening in Canada, in Western Canada, if I can.
Okay, fair enough. No, but it's the Constitution that really upsets you.
Constitution?
It's not the money.
No.
It's not the energy budget.
No.
It's not the tax on natural gas.
No.
It's not the fleeing of the oil rigs.
It's the Constitution and the future of our children that is being threatened by a dictator in Ottawa, a power in the center.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Webster, I'd just like to ask Mr. Knutson just how far he's prepared to take this Western separatism of his. We have a perfect example of what happened in the United States when the South tried to secede from the North. Would he go to war for this?
Well, first of all, in the States is entirely different. They had formed a federation and agreement, a compact, and they had all gotten together, which is not true in Canada. And I don't think that if Quebec had the right to take their own destiny, and everybody said that Quebec had the right to do it if the question was phrased properly, and if they wanted to separate and they voted to become a separate unitary state, that they had the right to do it. That right.
Only the NDP specifically said that.
No, Trudeau said it too.
What were you saying, ma'am?
Hello?
Yes?
I just want to say this, that I find that the West is far more separatist than Quebec ever knew how to be. And Mr. Knutson, you're just adding to the problem. This is Canada, one country, for God's sake, Canada.
Without a constitution.
Thank you, ma'am.
Without a constitution, Mr. Knutson, it's still one country.
We're not trying to. We're trying to say to you that we don't intend to separate. We want to start the federating process.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Knutson.
Yes.
Did you fight for Canada in the last war?
I was in the Navy.
Great. You sound like a great Canadian to me, anyway, who's very eager to keep Canada free from the Trudeau crowd.
That's right.
To you, and good morning.
Thank you very much, ma'am. See, you've got some friends out there.
I've got lots of friends out
there. From
there.
Vernon, B.C., go ahead, please.
Hello?
That's
yes.
you.
Hello?
Speak up.
Yes. Tell me, who did you serve with in the last war?
I was in the Navy.
Who?
In the Navy.
In the Navy?
Yes.
For who?
For
the RCNVR.
He was in the Royal Canadian Naval Volunteer Reserve.
This is Canada, for God's sake. You guys should be all put in front of a firing squad. You and Christie and the whole damn bunch of you. Because that's where you belong. You're nothing but traitors to the country. If you use
it's a good thing we got freedom of speech because you're entitled to your opinion too.
Instead of trying to break it up, we'd all be a hell of a lot better.
I'm trying to federate it.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Is this me?
That's you.
I was wondering, you haven't let Mr. Knutson...
Carry on.
You haven't let Mr. Knutson speak about the North yet. I was kind of curious what his place was for Yukon and the NWT in the new federation.
Well, we're going to invite them to come in, and we certainly want them. But first of all, their situation is a little different. They were not covered by the Statute of Westminster, and therefore they're still territories. And I say they're still territories of Great Britain because the Dominion government was really the Governor-General, and he ceased to have his authority after 31.
Okay, thank you very much. That doesn't make much sense. Trying to tell me the Northwest Territories are colonies. Maybe colonies of Ottawa, but they're not colonies of Britain.
Well, when was Ottawa a colony?
We were a colony before 1867.
Ottawa?
No, Canada.
Well, Ontario was, and that's a colony. Ottawa isn't Ontario, and isn't Quebec. Ottawa is a city that they pay rent to the colony of Ottawa, Upper Canada.
Go ahead, please. Where are you?
Yes, Mr. Webster?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You know, there's been an awful lot of talk about socialism, but there hasn't been too much thought.
Mm-hmm.
You could consider Nikita Khrushchev, who would be considered an expert on communism.
Mm-hmm.
His statement was a socialist is nothing but a communist without guts. A diplomat now would have put it a little differently. He would have possibly said the good intentions of a socialist are the paving stones on the road to communism. And when I look at what the free enterprise system has done for North America and the citizens of North America in a shorter time than all recorded history is done under socialism and other forms of government, then I'll stay the free enterprise way. And when I hear people talk about socialism, it's like going into a crap game with $10.
Right.
I guess a man's 25,000.
I gather your view is that you...
And you want to play against Trudeau's $10 and his socialism? It certainly doesn't ring very well.
Are you in favor of Westfed?
I certainly am. I'm
Thank
all
you,
for
sir. Back after the break. Elmer Knutson.
Yes.
West Federation Association, now called Westfed. Looking for money from oil companies or anyone else to build up a $4 million war chest to fight Ottawa.
Yes, we're going to do it, and already we have 1,000 farmers who are prepared to give us $1,000, and that means $1,000 each. That's $1 million to start off with.
You got the names on the list?
Yes.
Who organized this drive?
Well, we have had that offered to us many, many times. We said, well, we'll call for the money when we need it. At the moment, we're starting a big advertising program about a month from now that will tell the Westfed story in great big block letters.
Hey, is Stanley Roberts one of your supporters now?
Stanley Roberts, he told me at one time he was a half a step away from me, and then he went and joined the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. I think he wants to be the next Prime Minister or something.
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering, what, Mr. Knutson, what do you think, firstly, of Hugh Harry? And is this what you're saying, that you want to create a Western government independent of Ottawa, but what happens if, like what we're creating in Canada, where Ontario and Quebec have the power, since they are major provinces, but what does happen if we create such a problem with Alberta, since they are quite a powerful province?
Well, that's the thing is that the Constituent Assembly would decide what powers it be, but our suggestion would be that if the federal government in the West here is formed, that it should probably be 10 or 12 members from each province, to heck with the population figure, because there are regional differences, and I think that they should all have equal input.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Knutson.
Yes.
Starting with the Ottawa's ignoring Canada's internal East-West relations. Well, we have a similar situation here in BC, where the South, the Lower Mainland, has the population density, but they don't have the resources that the North have. So what's to say that someplace like Fort Nelson, who has things really just to cry about, don't succeed from Canada or from British Columbia? I mean, where's this catch-22 farce merry-go-round stop?
Well, first of all, to answer that question, they would have absolutely no legal right to do it, because the colony of British Columbia is a identifiable and a legal entity, and they have the right to work in their own territory, and Alberta has, as Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario, and all of them have.
In other words, Fort Nelson can't separate from BC.
No, because it's a legal entity. It's just like
but the western provinces can federate against and outside Ottawa.
They have their own sovereignty, yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yes?
That's you, ma'am.
Very good. I think that the lowest form of human life is a traitor. Mr. Knutson obviously is a traitor.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. No comment from you. Go ahead, please.
Is that me?
That's you.
Oh, yeah. Well, has Mr. Knutson considered the fact that there are people who have been born in BC, who will live in BC forever under the Canadian flag, and there is the chance of civil war?
Well, I don't think that there is any possibility of civil war because, first of all, we have no compact, no agreement, no nothing, and if Quebec had the right to do its own thing, Ontario has the right to do its own thing, I think we have too.
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
That's you, ma'am.
I would like to know if the Federation is going to start manufacturing their own goods here, or are they going to ship back east to do the manufacturing back east when the Federation is made.
Well, I tell you, we'd never, I don't think, start our own manufacturing because we can buy on the open market a lot cheaper than we can buy from East right now.
Listen, how much time we got? Your public relations man gave you a document to give to me this morning. Are you going to give it to me?
I think I should, Jack, because I think you're just a half a step away from being a charter member of WestFed, so I'll give it to you.
Well, policy statement. I'm not a socialist, I'm not a liberal, I'm not a conservative, I'm not a social creditor, and I can't possibly impugn my integrity by being a member of WestFed.
You can't, eh?
I must be independent.
Well,
it's not an insult, it's a gesture. Now I'll give you your pound of flesh. Put up his address.
Well, you see, you're fair about
WestFed
this.
Association, Box 9680, 349 West Georgia Street, Vancouver, BC, V6B4G3. Now, back in the close-up again. I'll tear up the card once more, in case you didn't get it right the first time. WestFed card, torn up. I don't know what to wish. You're obviously a man of integrity and good intentions, but you don't sit very well with me, Elmer.
Well, I think if I was to talk to you a half an hour or something like that when you didn't have to be putting on a show, I could do a lot of convincing.
You're accusing me of showbiz?
Yes.
Do you not think I'm genuine, sincere, honestly provocative?
Yes, I think that's what I'm saying. That's show business, isn't it? I think that's part of your job. I think you look like a reasonable, sensible guy, too, and know
no
that,
business like show business.
And that you're not that happy with the snowman.
My thanks to Elmer Trudeau, Elmer Knutson.